Here is a device made from $10 of copper wire, a metal rod, and two components you can order from any electronic supplier that pulls electricity from the air above your house continuously without a solar panel, without a wind turbine, without a battery, and without a single moving part. To understand how a wire and a metal rod can generate electricity from the open sky, you have to go back to a laboratory in Colorado in the summer of 1899. Tesla had set up an experimental station on the edge of Colorado Springs, a low wooden building surrounded by open grassland with a copper mast rising 80 ft into the air. The neighbors reported seeing blue light crawling across the ground at night. Lightning struck from a clear sky. The ground itself seemed alive. What Tesla was measuring was not a local phenomenon. He had discovered something that had been sitting above every city, farm, and desert on Earth since the planet formed. The atmospheric electric field. The Earth carries a negative charge. The ionosphere, the electrically active layer of the atmosphere 60 mi above your head, carries a positive charge. Between them, a potential difference of roughly 300,000 volts exists at all times, maintained continuously by solar radiation ionizing the upper atmosphere and lightning discharges, balancing charge between surface and sky. This field does not turn off at night. It does not require sun or wind. It is as permanent as gravity. Tesla recognized that if you could connect a conductor to 2 points in this gradient, one high and one low, charge would flow between them exactly as water flows downhill. In 1901, he filed patent 685-957, describing an elevated insulated plate connected through a capacitor to a grounded circuit. The plate acted as an antenna reaching into the charged sky. The ground rod anchored the circuit to the Earth's negative charge below. Between them, current moved. He called it radiant energy utilization. J.P. Morgan had funded Tesla's Warden Cliff Tower, expecting a wireless communication system, something billable per message. When Morgan understood that Tesla intended to broadcast power freely, available to anyone with a receiver, the funding stopped. The tower was never completed. The patents remained. The atmospheric gradient Tesla measured has continued operating undisturbed every day since. What MIT researchers and electrical engineers at institutions, including Georgia Tech, have demonstrated in the century since is that harvesting energy from ambient electromagnetic fields is not only physically real, it is measurable in a modern environment that Tesla could not have predicted. The air today is not only charged by the ionosphere, it is saturated with human-made electromagnetic radiation, FM and AM broadcast signals, cellular data from millions of towers, Wi-Fi radiation from routers in every building, radar and satellite downlink signals. In 2013, researchers at Georgia Tech demonstrated a circuit that harvested enough energy from television broadcast signals to charge a sensor battery at a distance from any power source. In 2020, a paper in Nature described a carbon nanotube rectenna that converted ambient infrared radiation into usable direct current around the clock. The principle is no longer theoretical. Ambient electromagnetic energy is real, it is measurable, and it is recoverable. The mechanism works in two overlapping layers. The first is Tesla's original atmospheric gradient, a long copper wire raised vertically above the ground, strung up a chimney stretched to the peak of a roof, or wound to a tree, acts as an antenna reaching into the higher potential region of the atmosphere. The ground rod, driven 60 centitons into moist earth, anchors the circuit to the negative charge below. A voltage appears across the two terminals. It is small and variable, and it arrives as alternating current shifting with atmospheric conditions. To use it, that raw signal must be rectified, converted from alternating to direct current. A 1N34A germanium diode does exactly that. It allows current to flow in one direction only, converting the oscillating atmospheric signal into a unidirectional flow. A capacitor smooths the output, flattening the peaks and filling the gaps so that downstream electronics receive a steady supply rather than a flickering pulse. The second layer is where the modern environment adds real yield. The same antenna that reaches into the atmospheric gradient also intercepts ambient radio frequency radiation from cellular towers, Wi-Fi routers, and broadcast transmitters. These signals carry power, not much power per signal, but they are everywhere, continuous and free. A rectenna, the combination of an antenna and a rectifying diode, captures this radiation and converts it to direct current through the same mechanism. Field measurements published in peer-reviewed literature recorded 0.437 volts of usable output from a rectenna operating in a typical urban ambient environment. That number is modest, but it is real, it is steady, and it never depletes. The combined output of an atmospheric gradient antenna and an ambient radio frequency rectenna falls in the microwatt to milliwatt range. This will not power a refrigerator, it will not run a washing machine, it will not heat a room. This is the honest boundary, and it matters. Anyone who claims a $10 wire circuit will replace your electricity supply is either confused or misleading you. What this system can power continuously and without any input is the category of electronics that currently run on batteries, door and window sensors, temperature loggers, smoke detectors, wireless data transmitters, LED indicator lights, clocks, and low-power IoT monitoring devices. A single AA battery stores roughly 3,000 milliwatt-hours of energy and then goes to a landfill. A functioning ambient harvesting circuit generates power indefinitely with no depletion, no replacement, and no waste for sensor networks and low-draw electronics. That is not a minor difference. There is no mechanical noise, no heat, no compressor cycling on and off. A copper wire strung up a wall and a metal rod in the ground generate current as silently as the field itself moves. The circuit has no moving parts to wear out and no consumables to replace. The copper wire will last longer than the building it is attached to. So why has no major electronics manufacturer shipped a consumer device that runs on ambient harvesting? The honest technical answer: first, performance varies significantly by location. In a dense urban environment with strong cellular and Wi-Fi signal saturation, output is meaningful. In rural areas with low radio frequency density, the atmospheric gradient alone may produce only microwatts, enough to confirm the principle, not enough to be practical. Rain and high humidity affect the atmospheric component. Poor grounding kills the output entirely. These are real engineering constraints, not marketing problems. But the deeper answer is structural. A device that runs without batteries creates no replacement cycle. The global battery market is valued at over $100 billion and depends on every portable electronic device needing new energy cells on a regular schedule. A power source that is ambient, free, and permanent does not fit inside a business model built on consumable units. No battery manufacturer will promote it. No major retailer stocks ambient harvesting circuits because there is no product to repurchase. The Federal Communications Commission's regulatory framework for electromagnetic devices focuses on transmission, not passive reception, and ambient harvesting exists in a legal gray area that discourages product certification. The Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers and the International Electrotechnical Commission have not defined residential code categories for it, which means building inspectors, energy auditors, and efficiency programs have no framework to recommend or credit it. Tesla's work was not buried by a single decision. It was overtaken by a system that rewards what can be metered, sold, serviced, and replaced. The atmospheric gradient has been generating its 300,000 volt potential difference every day for 4 billion years. The system that decided it was not worth using was not physics. It was economics. To reclaim the principle today, the materials are accessible and the process is documented. 30 end of insulated copper wire, a 1N34A germanium diode, a 100 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, a ground rod, and a basic multimeter are the main parts, with a total cost between $8 and $15 depending on sourcing. Raise the wire as high as safely possible. Drive the ground rod into moist earth. Connect the diode and capacitor in a basic half-wave rectifier configuration. Connect a low-draw sensor or data logger across the output. Detailed schematics and tested build logs are publicly available from the QRP amateur radio community, Hackday, and open electronics forums. Adding a small supercapacitor allows the circuit to accumulate harvested energy between draws, enabling burst mode operation for slightly higher power moments. The principle scales as the antenna scales. A longer wire, better ground, and broader band antenna capture more. The $10 circuit is not a power plant. It is something more precise than that. Proof that a usable physical field exists around every building on Earth has always existed, was documented and patented 120 years ago, and was set aside not because it stopped working, but because there was no recurring revenue model attached to it. Many solutions that have been forgotten share this pattern. They were not defeated by better technology. They were outpaced by more profitable technology.